Unique New York. Unique New York. What's up and welcome to the Fervent 4. Did you know that only 4% of businesses ever cross the annual $1 million revenue mark? Hello, I'm Zach Miller, author of Anomaly. With me today, I'm my co-host Tim Ryan, lead man at startwheel.org. Thank you so much for joining us. The Fervent 4 is a weekly show each and every Thursday at 11 a.m. dedicated to sharing insights into growing a world-class business no matter the climate. So, is communication really critical in a business succeeding? If anyone in the world has this answer, it's this guy, Danny Rubin. Welcome to the show.
Thank you both.
Mr. Rubin.
Pleasure to be here.
Should I have done that in like news cadence? Like we talked about that briefly right before.
This. No, we don't need
Welcome
to do
to the Fervent 4. Did you know? Like honestly, it's so weird. Like that's the thing, right? People have, I guess, news people have a different voice. Like,
which I looking back on my time in TV news,
go listen to I think the one who does it the most is like Blaine Stewart, locally. I'll like have I haven't seen him in forever, but like every once in a while, like I'll see like he'll throw up a clip, and I'm like, that is not your voice. That's not your voice.
Is that taught? I think I sort of went through this in my own progression in journalism. It's this tendency to feel like we have to sound important, and we put on this like fake cadence and rhythm. And really, I think about it a lot because I would listen back to myself back then, and I was probably pressing too much. And if I was back in that seat today, I would try to be way more casual with how I talk, still being presentable and professional, but trying to be more like person to person than like, I'm the newsman and here's
Good evening. I'm
Ron Burgundy.
Actually, it's interesting. I think about my last year at the old news station. Maybe we could talk about that for a second. But I worked with Bob Matthews a lot. And that dude, now that I'm thinking about it, like he did it to a T.
Yeah.
So like we would like roll around. So Tim, what happens is you usually are paired with someone.
Well, not as much anymore, but yeah.
They don't do. Oh yeah.
One man band
paired with
now. One man.
Oh really?
Band.
So that's like heavy now. Okay. So like back in the day, way back yonder in 2007 ish time frame. It would be a photographer with a reporter or whatever. They go to do a news story, and you would spend the day with that person, like literally in a car. And like working in news is literally just sitting in a car all day. People don't realize that. Like it really is. Like I think I put like 30,000 miles on a car one year, something ridiculous.
Wow. A lot of driving.
And so Bob Matthews and I would do a lot the last year because we basically were the evil stepchilds at the station at that point. Like TLB hated us, and that's the old news director's name.
I know.
that's her initials. And like we would walk around, we'd hang out, we'd get lunch, we'd do the interviews and everything like that. And then he'd do the voiceover, he'd go live or something, and we would like literally be talking, and then he would immediately change his voice. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I agree. So I do think about that a lot because I think it's sort of the best journalists out there. I think they learn to be more conversational and real and not sort of over modulated. And it's something that you have to kind of go through as a progression in that profession, but really in any job. Like, you want to be yourself. You don't want to act like
you and I left, I guess, in similar time frames in TV. So that's where you and I met many, many moons ago. When you coached, you moved to DC, you coached, I guess, some media departments, it sounded like. Did you say something like that?
No.
In that where it's like...
No, my job in DC, I worked for a large media research firm called Magid, MAGID, and they do a lot of consulting with news outlets. But one of the things I did, one of my projects was I did research and consulting with Meet the Press. Huh. So at the time, it was for David Gregory, who was the show host after Tim Russert, who passed away. And it was a tough act to follow. The show actually slid a little bit. Now it's Chuck Todd. He's the host. So I was in no position to tell David Gregory to like work on his cadence. Like I was just
I'm 24. Work on your cadence, bro.
Yeah. I was just there to do whatever I was asked to do. So I didn't really get in on that level. I was working with like network people and MSNBC people. And I stayed away from that. It was more research and sort of strategy stuff. But I do listen for that all the time when I watch people on the air. I'm obviously looking at it through a different lens than a viewer, because I've been on that side and I know what that job is, and I know, how they're piecing these stories together.
How long do you think someone has to go through like training, or just to hit that comfort level, to hit the cadence that you're talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, these folks make it look so easy, and then you get startups and entrepreneurs that go on stage for the first time and they just totally crash and burn. So
I think
not to mention, even just as you're answering this, Danny, think about it just from like the live aspect to the non-live aspect of it. Because there is two different swings of that.
Yeah, I think to really get comfortable and fluent with live TV, you got to do it several thousand times. And because there's so many variables and there's so many environments where there's noise and there's distraction, and you got to do it for a while. And that's why most reporters, young out of school, they start in small markets. They go to small cities where you can make mistakes. Nobody's going to really put you under a microscope. And then you work your way up to the bigger markets when you're ready. It takes several years. As in any industry, any job, you got to really ride it out. You got to live it and breathe it and do it. And you got to get knocked around for a bit. And then you're going to come out of it ready for that bigger stage.
Do you think that there are similarities by going live on TV and kind of going live on stage somewhere?
Oh, I use these skills every day. I'm doing webinars constantly. I'm doing, I used to do presentations in person, hopefully again, to large rooms, small rooms. Absolutely. I say to people, like, all these skills are coming out of being on camera, and I'm sharing those skills back with you and students and whomever, because this is what works and this is what professionals do. And you can apply these skills to any occupation, any managerial track, anything you want to do. You have to know how to communicate. So I'm just taking straight off that, because what I'm doing a lot of work with education. So they love to hear the term industry best practice. They want to know that they're giving students what industry prefers. So I always say, I'm sharing with you industry best practice for communication from the real world into the classroom. And they always lean forward on that because they know they're getting like the real stuff.
That's interesting. I always tell people, you have this thing if you have a social media account, you can go live pretty much anywhere, right? And so actually today is apparently the first day I've ever actually had access to LinkedIn Live. I've been trying to get this thing for like 3.5 years. So we broadcast today for the first time ever. You're the first one ever on the show live on LinkedIn on Zach's account. Awesome. I don't know why it took him 3.5 damn years, but here we are. But going live, you can practice a lot. And a lot of times there's not huge rooms watching, so you can move with the punches. And so I always advise people, like, hey, if this is a thing that you want to do, getting in front of a lot of people, feeling more comfortable in that, press record, and go live, because it's a significant opportunity for people to learn. And by the way, the people who like make fun of people and like bully people in that kind of instance, like, oh, that looks so easy. Cool, you go do it. And like understand how difficult it is, and then do it in like a studio too, where it's hot as hell. Like I did a live podcast the other day somewhere, and they had lights and craziness, and I was just like, I totally forgot like how damn hot it gets in those situations. Like, it ain't easy.
Absolutely. I think it's the best training ground that I could have gone through. I always am grateful that I did TV news and that I got kicked around, had a tough boss, had some really challenging moments on live TV. It's made me who I am, and it has absolutely impacted everything that I'm doing today. So I wouldn't trade it. And I do see Leanne Rains Benedetto, who
she thinks you're a rock star. I mean,
hello. And she's been on TV. She did it. She knows.
Right.
So she knows what we're talking about.
Yeah, it is a difficult scenario, and so I mean, the live aspect of it is a wild ride. I mean, have you ever done anything super live, Tim? Other than like in-person stuff?
There's nothing like it. I mean, you're out there on a tightrope. There's no net. You just got to go. And
we talked about it a few weeks ago, just with Tim, like when we did when I did Hampton Roads Business Weekly, him being on that and how kind of nervous he was just on something like that. And that's something that's recorded.
Right.
And so like, it's a difficult thing.
Nothing. I did a presentation yesterday for educators in Georgia. It was virtual because their conference is still virtual. And somebody in the middle of the Zoom had access to like admin controls, and they started scribbling like red lines on the screen.
kind of like the cat in the court case.
And I'm presenting, and I'm like, whatever. I can still see what's on my screen. I'm just going to deal with it. I was like, well, live TV, folks, here we go. And I just kept talking for the next 45 minutes with these red lines all over the screen. You think
people are going to get better at this skill because of the last year on Zoom, or do you think it makes no difference?
Well, I don't think the act of having Zoom and presenting this way would make them better. You have to be intentional about it. You have to learn. You have to practice in a thoughtful way.
Well, how many people are on Zooms like that, right?
Well,
I mean, they don't even. Yeah, they don't even. They'd have a black screen up the whole time,
right.
or they have
or they're like this.
Oh, hey guys, it's me.
So no, I don't. I mean, people are becoming more fluent with virtual presentations because we're doing them so much, but it doesn't necessarily, people fall into habits they don't even know are poor habits. And so they'll just keep doing it. And so often you see people make mistakes or run into the same, hiccups, and nobody ever stops them and says, hey, you may want to work on that. It's very rare somebody would stop you in your tracks and say, hey, actually, I noticed you doing this or that. You should consider. Many times we just kind of roll through what we do and nobody ever stops us. And even if it's a clear mistake.
Are you stuck at your home office, socially distanced coffee shop, or your fancy all bricked out corner office, wondering why no one can see your business and sales are all over the place? Sounds like you need a pro. That's why I developed the Anomaly Academy. Insert clever copy here. Oh, I guess I was supposed to put something else there. Oops. You can grab access to the Anomaly Academy now at zachmillersays.com/Anomaly Academy.